So today I want to do something a little different. Most of the time in this class, I try to explain what is happening right now. I try to give you a framework. I try to give you the tools to understand the world. And we have been doing that a lot recently with this war. But today, I want to make a prediction. Now, before I do that, I want to go back because I think it is important, very important, to understand how we got here. Because if you understand how I made the first 3 predictions, you will understand why the new prediction I am making today is not just a guess. It is not just an opinion. It is the logical conclusion of everything we have studied together in this class. Okay? So let us go back to May 2024. It is May 2024. Joe Biden is still the president of the United States. Donald Trump is facing 91 criminal charges. Most people in the media are saying Trump cannot win. Most people are saying there will be no war with Iran. The world looks relatively stable. And in this classroom, I made 3 predictions. Prediction number 1, Donald Trump will win the presidential election in November 2024. Prediction number 2, the United States will go to war with Iran. Prediction number 3, the United States will lose this war, and this loss will forever change the global order. Now, 2 of these predictions have already come true. Trump won, America went to war with Iran, and the whole world is now watching to see if the 3rd prediction comes true as well. But here is what I want you to understand today. I did not make those predictions because I am special. I did not make those predictions because I have some magical ability to see the future. I made those predictions because I used a method, a framework, and that framework is what I call predictive history, using game theory and structural patterns from history to understand where things are going. And today I want to use that same framework to make my most important prediction yet. I want to tell you exactly how this war ends. Okay, so let me first explain the method, and then I will walk you through the prediction step by step, because I never want you to just accept what I say. I want you to see the reasoning. I want you to test it yourself. That is what this class is about. So how do I make predictions? I look at 3 things. First, I look at structure. What are the deep structural forces shaping a situation? Things like geography, population, economic systems. These things do not change quickly. They constrain what is possible. Second, I look at incentives. In game theory, every player in the game is trying to maximize their own interest. So I ask, what does each player actually want? Not what they say they want, what they actually want, because those 2 things are often very different. Third, I look at history. Not because history repeats exactly, it does not, but because human beings are human beings, empires are empires. And certain patterns appear again and again across thousands of years. If you know those patterns, you can see them playing out in real time. Now let me apply this to the question of how this war ends, and I want to do this carefully, step by step, because the answer is not simple, but it is logical. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. First, let us understand what each player actually wants. Because as I said, what people say they want and what they actually want are different things. What does America say it wants? It says it wants to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. It says it wants to bring democracy to Iran. It says it wants peace and stability in the Middle East. Okay. Now, what does America actually want? America wants to maintain control over the global oil supply because the global oil supply is the foundation of the petrodollar system. And the petrodollar system is the foundation of American financial power. Remember what we have discussed before. Since 1973, all oil in the world has been traded in US dollars. This creates permanent global demand for the dollar. It is what allows America to print money and run huge deficits without its economy collapsing. Without the petrodollar, America cannot afford its military. Without its military, it cannot maintain its empire. So the real goal of this war is simple. Control the Middle East, control the oil, keep the petrodollar alive. Now, what does Iran want? Iran wants to survive. That is the most basic thing. Iran has been under American sanctions for decades. America has been trying to regime change Iran since 1979. Iran has watched what happened to Iraq when America invaded. It watched Libya get destroyed. It watched Syria get destabilized. Iran knows that if it does not fight back, it will be destroyed. So Iran's first and most fundamental goal is survival. But Iran also wants something more. Iran wants to be recognized as a legitimate regional power. It wants to end the sanctions permanently. It wants to control the Strait of Hormuz, not just now during the war, but permanently as a tool of economic leverage. And it wants its allies, Yemen, Hezbollah, Iraq, to be protected as part of any settlement. Now, what does Israel want? Israel wants to replace America as the dominant power in the Middle East. I have explained this before, and I will be brief today. Israel is auditioning to be the new empire. It is showing the global elite, the finance class, the asset managers, the people who actually run the global system, that it is willing to fight, that it has the unity, the determination, the strategic intelligence to be the muscle of the global system when America is no longer able to do the job. And what do the Gulf states want? Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, they want to survive too, but they are weak. They cannot fight on their own. And right now, they are trapped between two powers that are much stronger than them. Their strategy is to stay as close to whoever wins as possible, and they will flip very quickly to the winning side when they see which way things are going. Okay, now I have the players and their real interests. Let us look at the structural realities, because interests alone do not determine outcomes. Structure does. So here are the key structural facts of this war, and I want to go through these carefully because they are the foundation of my prediction. Structural fact number 1, America is winning the air war but cannot win the ground war. Let me explain this. In an air war, America is dominant. America has the most advanced fighter jets, the most advanced bombers, the most advanced targeting systems. And in the opening phase of this war, America did serious damage to Iran. It struck nuclear facilities. It targeted leadership. It tried to destroy missile and drone factories. But here is the problem. You cannot win a war from the air alone. This is not just my opinion. This is one of the most well-established facts in all of military history. No country in modern history has ever been regime changed purely from the air. You can bomb a country endlessly, and it will not surrender if the population is determined and the leadership is resilient. The Americans bombed North Vietnam for years. Vietnam did not surrender. The British bombed Germany for years in World War II. Germany did not surrender from the air. It surrendered when Soviet and American ground troops were physically inside its territory. So if America wants to achieve its goal of regime change in Iran, it eventually has to send ground troops. There is no other option. But a ground invasion of Iran is, as I have said many times, potentially catastrophic. Iran is 4 times the size of Iraq. It has a population of 90 million people. It is mountainous. And Iran has been preparing for a ground invasion for 25 years. Not 25 days, not 25 months, 25 years. Underground bases in mountain ranges, decentralized drone factories, weapon systems specifically designed to destroy helicopters, armored vehicles, and infantry. This is not something America can simply bomb its way through. Structural fact number 2, the cost exchange is unsustainable for America. We have discussed this before, but let me make it very simple. Iran fires a drone that costs $50,000. America fires a missile to shoot it down that costs $3 to $10 million. For every Iranian drone, America spends 60 to 200 times more money trying to stop it. Iran fires these drones in swarms, hundreds at a time. America is running through its interceptor stockpiles at a terrifying rate. In fact, we already know that America is racing to accomplish its military objectives before it runs out of interceptors. Let me say that again. The most powerful military in human history is in a race against the clock before it runs out of weapons. That is where we are. And America's military-industrial complex, which is the most corrupt institution in the world, as I have argued many times, cannot quickly replace these stockpiles. The F-35 took 26 years to develop. Interceptor missiles take years to produce. Iran's drone factories, on the other hand, are dispersed across the country, hidden in basements and warehouses, and can be rebuilt quickly even after strikes. This is an asymmetry that only gets worse for America over time. Structural fact number 3. The economic pressure is real and growing every day. The Strait of Hormuz carries 20% of the world's oil supply. Iran is effectively controlling it right now. This is not just a military issue. This is an economic weapon pointed directly at the global economy. And now Yemen has entered the war and is threatening the Red Sea, which carries another 12 to 15% of global trade. Think about what happens when both of these choke points are disrupted at the same time. Oil goes to $150, $200 a barrel. Fertilizer becomes scarce. Food prices rise globally, and a global recession begins. This creates political pressure inside America that no president can resist because ordinary Americans are already asking, why are we fighting this war? Why are gas prices going up? Why is my grocery bill going up? And the answer is this war. Structural fact number 4, American political will is fragile and declining. Only about 40% of Americans support this war right now. That number will go down, not up, as casualties increase and economic pain grows. America is not a nation that accepts casualties. We saw this in Vietnam. We saw this in Iraq. We saw this in Afghanistan. Every time America gets into a long, expensive, painful war with no clear victory in sight, the political will collapses. And with it, the ability to fund and sustain the war collapses too. Iran knows this. Iran has studied American psychology very carefully. For 20 years, Iran has been analyzing American political behavior. It knows that the American public has a pain threshold. And Iran's entire strategy is built around pushing America past that threshold. Okay, so now I have the structure, I have the players and their interests, and I have the key constraints. Now let me give you the prediction. I believe this war ends in one of two ways. And which way it ends depends on one critical question. Does America send ground troops into Iran or not? Let me explain both scenarios. Scenario 1, America does not send ground troops. It keeps this an air war. In this scenario, America continues bombing Iran from the air. Iran continues firing drones and missiles. The war goes on for months, possibly years. America depletes its interceptor stockpiles. The cost keeps rising. The political pressure at home keeps building. Oil prices stay elevated. The global economy suffers. And eventually, and this is the key word, eventually America looks for an exit, a face-saving way out. Trump goes on television and says something like, "We have achieved our objectives. We have significantly degraded Iran's military capabilities. We are declaring victory and bringing our forces home." But here is what actually happens. America withdraws from the Middle East. The Gulf states, seeing that America is leaving, immediately start hedging. Some of them, Qatar, Oman, move toward Iran. Others, Saudi Arabia, UAE, move toward Israel. The petrodollar system weakens significantly, and Iran, still standing, still in control of the Strait of Hormuz, emerges as a legitimate regional power for the first time in decades. In this scenario, America loses the war. But the loss is not catastrophic. America survives. It retreats from the Middle East, but it does not collapse. It is weakened, yes. Its credibility is damaged, yes, but it does not fall. Now let me tell you scenario 2. America sends ground troops into Iran. In this scenario, America decides that air power alone cannot achieve regime change. The pressure from the GCC countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, becomes unbearable because they are being pounded by Iranian drones and missiles, and they are screaming at America to finish this once and for all. The pressure from Israel is enormous, and Trump, who does not have a clear strategy and who is increasingly desperate, decides to roll the dice and send in the Marines. This is where things get very dangerous because Iran has been waiting for exactly this moment. For 25 years, Iran has been planning for a ground invasion. It has underground military bases in mountain ranges that America has not located. It has weapon systems specifically designed for close-range combat that it has not yet used. And it has something even more powerful, a population of 90 million people who believe this is a war for their survival. But even more dangerous is what happens around Iran when ground troops go in. If America is physically inside Iranian territory, what stops Iraq from moving its forces into Kuwait and Saudi Arabia simultaneously? What stops Yemen from entering Saudi Arabia from the south? Suddenly, America's bases in the Gulf, the bases it needs to supply and reinforce its ground troops in Iran, are threatened from multiple directions at once. America could find itself not just in a quagmire inside Iran, but with its entire position in the Middle East collapsing around it. In order to fight a serious ground war in Iran, America would need hundreds of thousands of troops. The entire active U.S. military is about 1.3 million people. America would have to institute a national draft. Young men, as young as 18, would be forced to join the army and sent to fight in Iran. Do you think the American public would accept this? No. This would cause enormous social unrest inside America. It could cause something close to a civil war within American society. It would be the end of Trump politically, and it would accelerate the financial collapse of the American economy. This is the ground invasion trap, and if America walks into it, the loss is not just a loss. It is a catastrophic, empire-ending loss. So these are the two scenarios: an air war that ends in a managed American retreat, or a ground war that ends in American catastrophe. Now, here are my 3 specific predictions for how this war ends based on these 2 scenarios and the structural analysis I have just walked you through. Prediction 1, there will be no ground invasion of Iran. I know many people are saying ground troops are coming. I know the Marines are heading to the region, but I do not believe a full ground invasion of Iran will happen. And here is why. The people around Trump, the smart ones, the ones who actually understand the military situation, they know what a ground invasion of Iran means. They know it means a draft. They know it means years of war. They know it means the end of Trump's political career and possibly American financial stability. The pressure against a ground invasion inside the American government is enormous. Now, there may be small operations. There may be special forces operations. There may be attempts to take an island in the Strait of Hormuz. But a full-scale ground invasion of Iran, I do not believe it will happen. The cost is simply too high. And even Trump, for all his impulsiveness, will eventually be told clearly and firmly that going in on the ground is the end of everything. Prediction 2. This war ends with America withdrawing from the Middle East within 12 to 24 months. Here is how it happens. The economic pressure builds. Oil prices stay high. The American stock market suffers. The political opposition to the war inside America grows. Trump's approval ratings drop. And at some point, China, Russia, and India, the 3 great powers that are not directly in this war, will make it very clear to Trump that the world cannot sustain this disruption. They will tell him privately, firmly, that it is time to stop. And Trump, who cares deeply about the economy and about his legacy, will find a way to declare victory and leave. This is not unlike what happened in Vietnam. America did not lose Vietnam on the battlefield in a single decisive battle. America lost Vietnam because the cost in money, in soldiers, in political will, in global reputation became unsustainable, and eventually a president had to find a way to walk away. That is what will happen here. Prediction 3. After America leaves, the Middle East will be reorganized around 2 regional powers, Iran and Israel. This is the most important long-term prediction. When America withdraws from the Middle East, the vacuum does not stay empty. 2 powers will fill it. Iran on one side, controlling the Strait of Hormuz and the eastern part of the Middle East, with Russia and China as its economic partners. Israel on the other side, with its technological superiority, its intelligence capabilities, its deep connections to global finance, controlling the western part of the Middle East and the India-Middle East-Europe trade corridor. And here is the part that will surprise most people. Iran and Israel, despite being ideological enemies today, will eventually find a way to coexist. Not as friends, never as friends, but as 2 strong regional powers that understand each other's strength and choose to focus on the weak rather than fight each other endlessly. The GCC countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, will be split between them. Some will align with Iran, some with Israel, and the Middle East will settle into a new multipolar order. This is what I meant when I said in 2024 that this war will forever change the global order. Because when America leaves the Middle East, it does not just lose a region, it loses the petrodollar. And when it loses the petrodollar, it loses the financial foundation of its entire empire. Now let me address the 3 big questions that everyone is asking. Question 1, will nuclear weapons be used? I am 100% confident that nuclear weapons will not be used in this war. I want to be very clear about this. Nukes are the ultimate taboo in international politics. America used them at the end of World War II on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and since then, no country has used nuclear weapons in warfare, not once in nearly 80 years. This taboo is one of the most powerful norms in human civilization because everyone understands what breaking it means. It means the end of all the rules. It means every country that does not have nuclear weapons will immediately try to get them. It means we are one step away from a nuclear apocalypse. Israel will not use nuclear weapons. America will not use nuclear weapons. And if I am wrong, well, we will all be dead and it will not matter. But I am not wrong. No nuclear weapons. Question 2. Will Trump negotiate a deal with Iran directly? No. And here is why. Iran will not negotiate with America directly right now. Not because Iran is being stubborn, but because Iran has a very logical reason not to. Every time Iran has negotiated with America in the past, America has broken the agreement. The nuclear deal, the JCPOA, America signed it and then Trump tore it up. America has shown again and again that it cannot be trusted to honor agreements with Iran. So from Iran's perspective, what is the point of negotiating? You negotiate, you reach a deal, America breaks it in 6 months, and then you are worse off than before because you have given something away. Iran's position is very clear. The facts on the ground have to change first. America has to actually leave. American bases have to actually close. Only then will there be a real durable settlement, because then Iran does not need a piece of paper from America. The reality itself protects Iran. Question 3. How long will this take? This is the hardest question. Empires move slowly. America has enormous resources. It can drag this on for years if it chooses to. But the economic pressure is real, and it is building every day. My best estimate is that within 12 to 24 months, America will be looking seriously for an exit. And within 2 to 3 years, the broad outlines of the new Middle Eastern order will be clear. But here is the honest truth. I cannot give you an exact date. Nobody can. What I can tell you is the direction. And the direction is this. America is leaving the Middle East. Iran is rising. The petrodollar is dying. And the world is becoming multipolar faster than anyone in Washington is willing to admit. Okay, let me bring this all together with one final thought. In 2024, I made 3 predictions when nobody believed them. Everyone thought Trump would lose. Everyone thought there would be no war. Everyone thought America was invincible. I did not make those predictions because I was brave. I made them because the structure of the situation made them logical. Trump winning was the logical outcome of American political dysfunction. The war with Iran was the logical outcome of America's desperate attempt to maintain its petrodollar empire. And America losing is the logical outcome of fighting a war it cannot sustain against an enemy it consistently underestimates in a region it can no longer afford to control. The Athens that launched the Sicilian expedition in 415 BC was the most powerful city-state in Greece. It sent its best ships, its best generals, its best soldiers to conquer Sicily. And the expedition was a complete disaster. Athens never recovered. Its empire declined, and eventually Athens fell. Not because it was attacked from outside, but because it overextended itself. Because hubris, arrogance, led it into a trap it could not escape. America is in that trap right now. The question is not whether America will lose this war. Based on my analysis, that is already happening. The question is how quickly America recognizes this, how quickly it finds an exit, and how much damage it does to itself and to the world before it accepts the reality. And the prediction I am making today is this. America will find its exit. It will be painful. It will be humiliating. But America will survive. It will retreat, not collapse. And the world that emerges from this war will be fundamentally different from the world that existed before it. More multipolar, more balanced, more dangerous in some ways, but also, and I believe this deeply, more honest. Because a world in which one empire controls everything is not a stable world. It is a world waiting for the moment when that empire makes its fatal mistake. America made its fatal mistake, and history, as always, does not forgive those who ignore its lessons. Okay? So that is my analysis for today. That is my prediction. Remember, this is not prophecy. This is game theory and structural history. It might be wrong. I might be wrong, and if I am wrong, we will come back and analyze why, because that is what predictive history is about. Not being right all the time, but thinking carefully, questioning our assumptions, and following the logic wherever it leads.